that I welcome this kind of examination because people have got to know whether or not their president is a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
We can make our beloved country the source of all the dreams and the opportunities that she was missing.
Welcome to the American Idiots Podcast, the show where we take the most divisive headlines and put them to the debate with our diverse group of hosts. Join us as we leave no story uncovered and spare no politician. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to welcome you into the American Idiot Show. I am Money Mike. And before we get started and bring on the Manic Hispanic, I do want to throw this out there. One of our friends of the show, the Tropic Thunder, she had a death in the family. Her uncle Ronnie passed away this past week. So definitely want to send out the thoughts and the prayers, at least from this end of the panel, to Tropic Thunder as, just let her know we're thinking about her as she's going through this tough time. With that being said, we'll go ahead and bring on the Manic Hispanic. Manny Hispanic, I see you're wearing some blue and black. Brother, I'm going to need to see some red and white. Arkansas was named the number 3 seed in the NCAA tournament, and y'all didn't even make it.
For the first time in years, I think it's 93.
Quite a few.
Duke is not in the tournament due to COVID.
Oh, is Duke not going to be in because of COVID?
Yes.
I thought Duke.
They were in their tournament, and they were winning their tournament and couldn't play the last game because somebody was positive for COVID, and because they had to pull out, they did not make the NCAA tournament.
Well, I know Kentucky pulled out, or Kentucky isn't in because they suck. So
yeah, Kentucky was bad this year.
They were terrible.
I don't know how much that was due to COVID. Did they just miss a bunch of games due to COVID, or what was going on?
I think they were just, for some odd reason, pretty terrible this season. I don't know why.
And the other part that sucks is Louisville was beat by Duke, and that's the reason Louisville wasn't in it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, daggone, like the Powers. No wonder why Arkansas is a 3 seed. The Powers are in the tournament this year. I mean,
have you seen some of those teams that are in it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Baylor's a 1 seed. That just seems off to me. But, so definitely looking forward to March Madness, I believe, kicking off Thursday, I want to say. Thursday evening. So
I've rooted for Duke for a long time, and for those of y'all that don't know, Duke's mascot is the Blue Devil. I graduated from a school whose mascot was Red Devils.
Jacksonville?
No. Mountain Pine.
Oh, yeah.
I graduated in class of 26.
Oh, good Lord. Jacksonville was the only Red Devils I knew off the top of my head, even though I should have known the Mountain Pine was the Red Devils as well. What was I going to say? I was going to say something smart alecky, but I forget what I was going to say.
Okay. Sarcasm is escaping you, eh?
Obviously, that means I didn't need to say it, so we'll go ahead and hop into things here. The new stimulus, what's really inside this stimulus? We actually have we don't have a video on this.
Well, and here's the deal, people. I'm going to encourage you to jump in, ask questions, give your point of view on any of our topics. Mike was late to the party today. I mean, he came on literally minutes before we went on.
Literally.
And, my phone having some issues and having to turn it off and reboot it. I was on like seconds before we came on.
Right.
But due to my work schedule these past couple of weeks, I have been driving to Conway from Hot Springs, and I haven't had time to really look at most of these stories. Honestly.
Actually, I'm lying to you. We do have a story on the California part of that, and it's actually from almost a year ago when this, I guess, originally broke. But what the reason why this is resurfacing is California and I believe San Francisco got quite a bit of money in this bill. So here we go.
As you know well, because you may be one of them, tens of millions of Americans are now unemployed and running out of money. The rest have to worry about losing their constitutional rights. In fact, many of them are gone. But one group of Americans has no worry at all about getting whatever they want: the homeless. In San Francisco, anyway, officials are putting up the homeless for free in city hotels and supplying them with free alcohol, drugs, and nicotine. Why are they doing this exactly? Joe Alioto is a former San Francisco city supervisor and DA candidate. He joins us tonight. Joe, thanks so much for coming on. I can't think of a clearer signal to taxpayers, citizens, people who try to do the right thing, stay sober, that we just hate you and are spending all of our time on people, you know, who are contributing. I mean, honestly, people, I mean, why would they be giving the homeless free stuff? I don't understand.
Well, it's not just that. The worst part about it is that we are taking a very vulnerable population and we're feeding their addictions. And we're not using taxpayer dollars to do that, which begs the question, why is, where is this money coming from? And is the reason why we're not using taxpayer dollars is because it would otherwise not be legal to do. I mean, we know that's true on the federal level anyway. But the idea that the government can poison a few people for the good of the many it's immoral. This has been debated over years. It's unconstitutional. It's very un-American, for that matter, and by federal standards illegal, which probably explains why some of the hotels, as you've read, in the Los Angeles area are refusing to participate in the housing of the homeless.
So the Los Angeles City Council, I know you're from North End San Francisco, right, is threatening to, quote, commandeer hotels that don't want to become homeless shelters. I mean, just the level of concern. Right. I mean, so, and look, I'm for helping the homeless. So many of them are mentally ill and need actual help. They don't need to live on the sidewalk. But the level of concern, all the concern seems to be for the homeless. Like, what about people who are trying really hard to do well for their kids and make the society better? Like, they're totally ignored. Why? That's right. Especially with the food shortage. We should.
Okay, that went a little long. Did I wake you up?
Man.
It was pretty bad, but essentially what I'm getting at is, at least on the outskirts of this, and we actually have two comments that I'll get to in just a second, at least on the outskirts of this, it looks like that San Francisco is paying to not only house these people in hotels, which personally I don't have a problem with, but then on top of that, providing them with alcohol, providing them with methamphetamines. That becomes a problem. Sketchy Peasant said, I received my $1,400 today. I'm spending at least $500 of it at the Deja Vu strip club tonight. I recommend you all stimulate the economy in the same fashion. And he follows up saying, Tucker Carlson is the king of spin. The hotel rooms are to get them off the streets and put them into transitional housing. The goal is to get them off the streets. Housing prices and rents have soared. And, you know, absolutely. Like I said, as far as that part goes, I have no problem with them housing them in these hotels. I have the problem with the money for the alcohol and the methamphetamine. Like, come on now, bruh.
Right. Definitely give them shelter. I don't agree with them commandeering hotels to do this. If you're going to spend some money, why don't you build a city? Build a homeless city. Use that money for utility bills, use that money for stuff like that to help these people, not feed them drugs and alcohol to keep them dependent on the system.
Well, and I mean, hell, I'm sure San Francisco is the same way. And maybe Sketchy Peasant, I'm assuming you're from California based on your comment there. Maybe you can chime in on this. But my thing is, there's plenty of empty houses in Little Rock that I know of. It's not like you'd have to build a community. You could literally bring them houses up to code or what have you. And there you go. Transitional housing. it's not hard in my mind to justify these expenses.
Yeah, the number of houses that are foreclosed on in a year, the government could pay the bank for what it's owed and open those up as homeless areas. The reason I was saying build homeless cities is because homeless people aren't known for really taking care of themselves or their stuff. So just because there was a vacant house next to me doesn't mean that's necessarily the neighbor I want to have.
True. Good point.
Stuff like that could bring land values down and stuff like that. But to kind of designate an area, I mean, they're already hanging out at bridges and overpasses, stuff like that. To do it somewhere where it really wouldn't affect individual house prices or property.
Well, another option we have, I mean, let's be honest, we have these FEMA. If FEMA can get loads and loads of trailers for natural disasters, I'm sure we could probably get some manufactured homes for the homeless.
I've got it. It just hit me. They need to put these people in some of these old, rundown malls.
Oh,
these malls that have closed up, they're totally enclosed. They can go ahead and build walls, partitions, stuff like that. They can have medical that comes through every so often, so that people that need, diabetes medication or Tylenol or need to be seen for their mental health have someone they can talk to.
I mean, hell, some of these are so big you could actually make part of it. You could literally build your city within this thing. You could have a section that would be just for medical people, that you'd have a staff, and you could create jobs for people to come in there every day and work. I mean, just a thought.
That's just the Hispanic thought,
The other thing in this is a tax increase. Now, I want to go ahead and let people know this. I have read on this tax increase. The tax increase is exactly what I expected it to be. It's for income earners over $400,000 and corporate income tax. There is a substantial increase, but that's who is going to be mostly affected by this. And of course, it's exactly what you think to pay for it. The $1.3 trillion of debt we just incurred by, this last stimulus.
I also saw that they were going to cut the ability for corporations to write off anything over $1 million.
I believe so. Yes, I believe so. Which I mean,
that definitely helps. Yeah.
We're all talking about a lot
of this stuff. One of the things that did pique my interest was the $3 billion that was earmarked for private schools. If they're private schools, why is the government funding them?
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Why aren't they earmarking that money to the public schools that they should be taking care of?
I absolutely agree. They should not. I mean, let's be honest. These private schools are funded completely by tuition. So these people don't necessarily, and trust me, at least here in Arkansas, tuition for private schools, from what I understand, is not cheap. So you should have more than enough influx of income that you shouldn't have to worry about needing to bail out.
And how many of those schools are they going to force to change curriculum?
Very true.
Because now they're covered by the government.
Well, and I mean, when you think about it, a lot of private schools happen to be faith-based. So, wonder where that's going to become an issue. Certainly something to keep your eye on. I did want to point this out here. Sketchy Peasant said a lot of the homeless are mentally ill and need specialized treatment. Ronald Reagan, as governor of California, closed down all the mental health facilities. This is why there is a homeless epidemic. That's actually something that, I would agree with. There is a lot of people out there that are homeless, at least in our area. That's all I can speak about, that, do have mental health issues that are unaddressed.
The problem I have with his statement is Ronald Reagan was how long ago, and how many Democratic presidents have been put in place?
Touche.
The epidemic is still there, so you can't say that was the cause of the epidemic we have now. It may have started the epidemic, but you've had countless other presidents that could have turned that around.
Well, yeah, you're saying it doesn't just land at Ronald's feet, even though,
Right.
obviously Ronald started the ball for sure. Okay, so here's the next one, and I am ecstatic about this. I've seen a lot of mixed reviews on this, but I'm ecstatic about this. I feel like it actually helps matters. But we have this story from CNBC on the judge reinstating the third-degree murder charge.
The judge said that he was obligated to follow an opinion from a higher court, the so-called precedential opinion. And he said that this came after hearing from arguments from both sides. Now, we know that this opinion really lifted what was a cloud of uncertainty hanging over this trial, even as we are really days into the jury selection process. At issue is whether or not a third-degree murder can be charged against the person when the action taken was directed at one person rather than a group of people. The judge back in October, when he dismissed the charge, said the answer was no. An appellate court disagreed and clarified its ruling just last night, and that led to this moment in court.
When intent is directed at a single person, this is a legal principle that they've established now as precedent, then third degree may apply.
As far as this jury selection process, we are about halfway done as the jury, or as the court is seating this jury. We know that the majority of jurors are men, 3 of them white, 1 of them black, another Hispanic. The sole woman on the jury panel so far identifies as multiracial. We know the ages range from anywhere between 20 and 40 years old. Nearly all of the jurors have said that they have seen the George Floyd video, or at least a still from the video. But the key thing here is they say they can put that aside and any preconceived notions and be impartial jurors on this panel. Shep?
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC.
Shut the hell up,
Shepard.
I thought you were still on Fox News, Shep. Okay, anyway. With this being said, and I know we're going to kind of get into the territory of our Clear and Convincing show that we do on Tuesday nights, but first things first here. To me, this jumps out as a great win, because while you have the controversy of can you prove intent with the second-degree murder charge, well, hell, adding the third-degree murder charge means more than likely we're going to get them on something. So this makes me very happy. You almost remove any chance of not getting this guy. I mean, video alone, I think you can get third degree. Intent may be a little bit harder to prove. I believe the intent's there when he says, I can't breathe. But, some people don't believe that. I believe this is actually a fantastic win for the prosecution and for the state. Sketchy Peasant said, do you all think the $27 million settlement from the city of Minneapolis to the family of George Floyd is an admission of guilt? If the police department was innocent, why would the city pay? Absolutely. I think the city
I don't think it's an admission of guilt. You have people that settle out of court all the time.
True. I think in this case that it's at least an atonement for a wrong, whether they believe that they are as liable as, what some others would believe. That's up for debate.
I do find it interesting that the judge reinstated it and not the prosecuting attorney.
Right.
I thought a prosecutor had to bring charges. I didn't know a judge could.
I think what ended up happening was the original judge, if you heard there, the original judge, I believe, said, no, we're not going to charge him with third degree. We're going to leave the second degree standing, which is weird to me. But anyway, they left the second degree. And then this is the appellate judge that came back and said via precedent that, yes, you can charge him also with the third degree murder charge. So I was honestly surprised that they weren't looking at like manslaughter as soon as he said that there was no intent. So it kind of shocked me that they didn't at least start pushing for that. Now, one thing I want to kind of get into that I wasn't expecting to get into, so I'm going to kind of spring this on you, but they got into it in that video. how important do you believe? I mean, and I think this is going to be combed over multiple times. How important is jury selection in this trial? I mean, I don't think we've seen it as important a jury selection since OJ.
Yeah, it's going to come down to who's there, honestly. The way things are today, I don't think that you're going to have an overwhelming white superiority group of white people in there, keeping the ages down the way they are. You will also get more people that are sympathetic to anti-police areas. So, yeah, I mean, from the beginning, you know, just seeing how long they did what they did, there should have been some kind of murder or manslaughter or something from the get-go. I mean, I don't know why any of that stuff was ever dropped.
Absolutely. Absolutely, I would agree. Now, I'm going to ask you to kind of read the tea leaves here. I'm sure we're going to be covering this throughout the trial, but I'm going to ask you to kind of read the tea leaves. Do you think they're going to get a conviction, or do you think this is going to be a situation where there's going to be riots in the streets again?
No, I think they will get a conviction.
Good. I do too. I think at least the video alone speaks enough to at least get third degree, and then you get into whether intent was there from there. So, I mean, it's going to be
regardless of how a police officer will say that if you're able to say you can't breathe, then you can breathe. The fact that you left a man laying down with your knee on the back of his neck for 9 minutes while he was not fighting, that's a problem right there.
That's crazy to me, honestly. I'm not even going to lie. That is absolutely asinine to me that happened.
You know, he continued to struggle. I understand you waiting until you get him cuffed or whatever you have to do to get him subdued. But I mean, he was not struggling.
I could be wrong, but I vaguely, it's been months, but I vaguely remember when this first came out, all the, you know, social media cops and stuff were all coming out saying, you know, the protocol is if somebody tells you that they can't breathe, it's to immediately give life-saving aid. So, I mean,
yeah, I couldn't tell you what the protocol is. I've seen several videos of people saying they couldn't breathe.
Right.
When a cop has a hold on them or something like that.
I
remember seeing it on like the cops show.
Of course, you know, the defense is probably going to bring up Mr. Floyd's past and his potential drug use during this trial. How much do you think that's going to play with the jury as far as whether to acquit him on one of the higher charges?
I don't think it will, because like I said in the video, you see, regardless of how high he was or how drunk he was or what he was doing, while he was down there, he was not struggling.
I agree.
If he would have been struggling or trying to get up or trying to force people off of him, I understand them holding him down. But he wasn't.
Absolutely.
And if any jury sees that video and thinks that the police were in the right, they need to be put on trial.
I definitely agree there.
We'll put them in one of them mall situations and see how messed up their head is.
No shit. That is true. All right. Okay, this next one's probably going to be my favorite topic for the night. Matthew McConaughey, who I believe is actually a professor down at UT Austin right now, is considering a run for Texas governor. We have a story from Sky News Australia on this.
Let me tell you what I'm doing here today. Okay, so I would consider it. Matthew McConaughey, that stands?
Whatever leadership role I can be most useful in, and I don't know that that's politics. Right now, I don't see it as politics. I'll drink to that.
To that I say, all right, all right, all right.
Role I can be most useful in.
Okay.
Right now,
First of all, I would like to say this. How political was the answer he gave to Colbert there? I'm not sure, but, you know, if I could be abused, I mean, here's the thing.
They did point out leadership role.
Right. I love the thought of it. I need more substance, though, to give a clear thought on what I would think of Matthew McConaughey as governor of a state like Texas. Number one, you're going to have to be awful conservative to win in Texas, in my opinion. Maybe not as conservative as what you used to have to be, but you're going to have to be conservative to a certain extent. I'm going to need to know a little bit of where he stands on things.
That's going to be the big teller right there. His point of view on a lot of the issues is going to point either in favor or against.
And I mean, just based upon him, by the way, want to welcome in Mr. Duck. Duck, how are you doing today? I think that you're right. I think I think what he's doing right now is he's slow playing for time so he can get his platform together. I mean, Donald Trump changed the game with politics. Let's be honest. I mean, whereas you would laugh at that. You don't think so? I think you would laugh at a Matthew McConaughey.
No, I think if you check your history, celebrities all the way back to the 40s, to the 20s, there's always been a celebrity. From George Washington was sort of a celebrity, you know.
Ronald Reagan was a movie star, became president.
Exactly.
Schwarzenegger,
governor. You had Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's already been a governor in a big state.
So I don't think Donald actually changed the game. I just think you know, he's very well, let's just say I guess for lack of a better word, he caused a big divide, you know, and there was very strong stuff that he just got away with that nobody could get away with. But as far as celebrity, you know, becoming such a powerful political position, it's like what we're made of.
Now,
I guess Schwarzenegger would be the best comparison as far as what
Trump did do is change the game as far as not playing with the other politicians.
True.
Saying he wasn't going to be the career politician guy.
True. Good point. Good point. Sketchy Peasant says we don't need actors and celebrities as our politicians. We need regular people, the common man, not people who don't understand how it is to live off of $50,000 a year. These people are out of touch. It's a good point. You know, Matthew McConaughey is going to have to show that he is in touch. You know, we have this aura. I guess McConaughey does have this aura of he's a good old country boy, but let's be honest, McConaughey's not doing too bad for himself either.
Right.
He may have a hard time connecting with the lower class.
Common man.
Absolutely. I think that's something he's going to have to run into, but I think the first thing that he's going to need to do is he's going to need to come up with a platform.
Well, I think you're right in more ways than you realize. His generation, what do we call it? Generation X?
I think he would be before me. I don't think he's a millennial.
Yeah, well, to me, it's he's the people that loved him in his generation are all now, you know, parents and grandparents, you know.
Right.
So I think he'll be able to reach, you know, before if he had done this earlier, it'd be a joke. But now that the people that watched him and you know, his fans are much older now, which probably would give him, in my opinion, a stronger chance at this.
It's a good point.
The thing you got to keep in mind is Texas just went through this big energy crisis, So that's a platform that he can run on. Look at the old Reagan.
Well, what happened with Schwarzenegger and Enron? F. McConaughey was to be so greasy as to do sort of like come in the way Schwarzenegger came in on Enron and put the whole blame on to the other guy. I think McConaughey would have a stronger chance if he did an Enron type of thing.
It's a good point. The question is, like, how down and dirty is McConaughey willing to get to? Because, I mean, like he said, politics is a dirty sport, and it's not exactly the kind of rules you want to play by right now. So, I mean, that's
McCain was, in my opinion, McCain was a good example of maybe you should just play dirty. McCain was, to me, I'm not even a Republican, but McCain was, in my opinion, extremely clean. He wouldn't let it go get his run get dirty or do the mudslinging like everybody did, and he lost for that, in my opinion.
Very true, very true. I mean, you got to think about it. Whereas we're coming out of G-Dub, who, so they came out and found the guy that was the exact opposite of W. And, they found a guy that wouldn't, throw red meat out to the supporters, so to speak. And you're right. I mean, do I think that there was a tidal wave named Obama at that point? Yes. I don't think there was any defeating Obama in 2008. But you're right. I mean, it did cost him some votes potentially by not doing that. And is McConaughey too nice?
Well, I think it cost him. It cost him the Trump votes, if I may coin a phrase. Trump went all in on that. Yeah, he was cool with the diversity and appealing to his base. Even if it was sort of below the belt, Trump had he had no problem again and again to just knock it to that person. To me, it's where us Democrats are, in my opinion, especially lately, it's why we're labeled as snowflakes. It's why we keep getting our asses kicked, because we're playing fair all the time. We're always trying to be the good guys, in my opinion. I mean, not all. There's some Democrats that'll make you like, God damn.
Michelle said it best. They go low, go high, and that may not be the best strategy. You make a good point there.
Yeah.
I mean, it did work out well in this past election, but I mean, then again, you got to say there were some times when Joe got down in the mud with Donald too during that election.
Well, yeah, he was throwing some. He was throwing some back, about Donald's past, and he even brought up the cover up, the extramarital affair with the porno stuff. He brought that up. I don't think Obama or McCain, the cleaner guys, I don't think they sunk to that. I don't know how Obama managed to not do that. I just didn't see. He was the only one that I know that was able to do that successfully and not sink to their level. Or do you guys do somebody?
Maybe you can back me up on this or disagree, but I think with Obama, I think he didn't need to do that. He was such a presence and so charismatic that when he talked, you wanted to listen. Yeah. And he didn't need to get down in the dirt with the other politicians. Manny?
You got to know when to do it and when not to. Bottom line, I think he did when he had to. As far as McConaughey goes, being in Hollywood, I think it's the same thing. You have to know when to make your demands, when to make sure that your stuff is taken care of, and when to just kind of let things go. So,
okay, when is it okay to play to shoot low blows though?
When is it okay? When it benefits you, honestly, in politics.
Well, wouldn't it benefit you to throw Trump under the bus if you were running against him and bringing up all his failed, his failed meat company, his failed university? They didn't go into that. It was mind-boggling. I'm like, what are you doing?
They didn't think they had to the first time.
Huh?
They didn't think they had to the first time. They thought they lost.
True.
Exactly. And that's what you just basically proved what I was talking about. Why do Democrats do that? Why are they constantly playing fair when the other guys got, brass knuckles with razor blades at the end of them. I don't get why. It just seems like that's a constant thing.
That's a good point. Okay, y'all, here we go. I did not find a video on this one, but this one's certainly interesting for me. There is a Texas representative, and I will actually pull up the story I sent in the American Idiots chat to get this gentleman's name, because he's going to be brought up later, by the way. This gentleman is not going to listen to President Biden, and he is now Representative Brian Slayton is not going to listen to President Biden's guidance, and he is now pushing through in the Texas legislature a bill to continue work on the border wall along the south border of Texas. You're talking about on federal land. That's where my thing is. Can they really decide what to do with federal land in a state legislature? That's where you run into the issue. Because technically the border belongs to the federal government, correct or incorrect, Manny?
That I don't know, to tell you the truth. I thought each state was independent and we were working together underneath the Constitution.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That's what I would think. But apparently, according to this gentleman, he thinks that he can push through a bill and they can finish the border wall, at least along the south border of Texas. It hasn't gotten much media attention as far as this bill goes. Like I said, I couldn't even find a video on it. But what do you think about it? Do you think this is definitely a way to fire up your base if you're from a conservative section in Texas? But it certainly.
I know we're not supposed to keep bringing up Trump's name, but it really does seem like a page out of the Trump book. It seems like, like you said, playing to your base, even though it's sort of like frowned upon by the more minority, I'd say. It just seems like a very political move to do just to appease the more what do you say, Republican.
Right.
It just I don't know. It just seems like it seems to be more of a tactical move than when he's more concerned about what that would entail.
Absolutely. And see, that's my thing though. And that's why I asked if you think that, this could be an issue, this could run into an issue with the federal government versus the state government, because I mean, I can't see Biden being like, yo, what the fuck are you doing? But at the same time, I can't see Texas. Let's put it this way. Texas is so stubborn. Number one, they've already considered seceding from the Union, laughably, but seceding from the Union.
Well, was that a true thing? Or put it this way.
I mean,
like Marvel fans say they want, certain things to happen in their movies or a certain actor to play. Was that fanfic or was that actually a political thing?
I believe there was an actual bill, and I kind of liken it to California back in 2016 saying they were going to secede from the Union when Trump won. It's one of those things that's a hissy fit that, will probably never escape at the end of a presidential election again.
But it reeks of fan fiction to me more. Like just the ones, not the real power, but the ones that are throwing a hissy fit are usually the ones that are less empowered to me. That's what that felt like when I first heard about Texas, and even when I heard about the California one, which reminds me, I wanted to ask Manny about how he felt about them making it easier to vote, because one of the Republicans said that they did that, then no one Republican is ever going to be able to be president again. Do you really feel that them making it easier to vote is going to be harder for Republicans to be president?
They actually made it harder in our state.
I do feel that way. The way I see it, my opinion, we have an issue with giving people everything they need instead of teaching people how to work for what they get. And it goes back to that old saying, you know, give a man a fish, he'll eat for the day. Teach a man to fish, he'll eat for the rest of his life.
True.
You know, there's a reason why they put signs on cages, you know, don't feed the bears at the zoo. Because then they get dependent on that kind of stuff. So whenever you don't have to worry about anything and you just go to the government gives you what you need, it's that much easier for the government to stay in power. And they're no longer of the people and by the people. Now they are over the people.
Well, and I mean, to be fair, Duck, on this, I want to speak on this for a second. To be fair, this is something that happens every time you get a regime change at the top. There's redistricting and everything to try to get the advantage towards the party in power. This time, the Democrats are going to redistrict and redraw districts to try to keep power in Washington.
I said that question after I wanted Manny to finish, but I didn't understand his answer as of why he thinks.
Yeah, because I didn't get to finish.
Oh, sorry.
So if they can bring in millions of people that they know are going to vote for them because they're going to continue to give them these programs, then they're making sure that they have those votes in their pocket. Therefore, the Republicans will never have enough votes to get anything.
So, do you feel that the Republicans are? Sounds like it in my ears. It sounds like you're saying because Republicans are becoming the minority.
Correct.
Oh.
Yes, Democrats are going to make sure that.
So do you think that enables them to balance? I mean, when the minorities were the minority, they they didn't have laws to even the playing field. But now that the Republicans are becoming the minorities, it just seems like they're saying, well, then let's even the playing field. Is that fair?
Yes, it is fair because our nation is supposed to be governed by our people. So if you start letting other nations in, I mean, why don't we let Cuba go ahead and start voting for the U.S. president? Why don't we let Russia start voting and China start voting? I mean, they've got their own nations to run. Why are we letting other nations, people, come in to vote who leads our nation?
Yeah, I see that, but I didn't think that other nations are affected. And if we go deep into that, we can go into the whole Russia and Trump and all that stuff about nations affecting, our nation. But my point was, our nation within itself seems to be getting certain laws and stuff to restrict American people from voting or making it harder, which is what helps the Republicans. Well, such as the identification
voter ID
identification law.
You have to have a voter. You have to have an ID to drive. You have to have an ID to purchase alcohol. You have to have an ID to do a lot of things, and nobody complains about that.
Okay, then why is it that it's an issue now when Republicans are becoming the minority? Why wasn't this brought up before when we, the minority, was the minority?
Because before there wasn't an influx of illegal aliens in the states that
I don't know. This America is built off of illegal aliens, man. I mean, to me, before it was worse than it is now. You have to really read your numbers and go into that, and you'll find out that that's just not true. It's just that now the people in power are becoming a minority, and basically they want to make the country great again.
And that's what I feel that the Democrats have done. The Democrats were becoming a minority because more people were leaning toward the Republican Party. So now they've opened the borders so that they can get as many other people in to keep voting for them.
Well, how do you say they opened the border then?
Relaxing border
Joe Biden has said he is pushing back on DACA.
We had families separated. We had all these orphan kids because of what happened with Trump. I don't get what you mean.
No, sir. No, sir. That stuff started under Obama. Obama had a lot of separated families.
And I think actually that goes back even further than Obama.
Yeah, exactly.
All the way to like Clinton, Reagan, Carter.
But are you actually saying that it didn't get worse? The families didn't get more separated when Trump started putting his policies in?
According to the numbers that I have seen, Obama had higher numbers with separated families than Trump did.
I'm absolutely interested in seeing that. I think definitely the media attention has shown more of a light on Trump's situation with the immigration and what have you. I would agree there. And definitely, if you can give me those numbers, I'm definitely interested in seeing that, because that would be unjustly done. In this case, no matter what, nobody should be separated from their freaking families, though. I think that's absolutely asinine and ridiculous.
But no, it's not asinine. I mean, if you think about it, if I have my child in the car when I rob a bank and I get arrested, are they not going to separate me from the child?
Okay. There's a big difference between wanting to come to a country to make a better life for yourself and robbing a bank, in my opinion.
You're right. There is a big difference. There is a big difference in coming through a port of entry where you're supposed to come and just crossing the border wherever you feel like going with a child that may or may not be yours.
Touche.
What was the issue? That you could not come to a port of entry and give your name and give your child's name. And instead, you had to cross somewhere else, hoping that you could get in with nobody seeing you.
Sketchy peasant. I think we've established Mexico ain't paying for a damn inch of that wall. I think that one may be a little bit old, but no, you make a good point. Like I said, you know me. I'm on the Rubio bandwagon. Let's just, what's here's here. No use over crying on spilt milk. Let's get them a pathway and screw it. Let's make them, let's give them a feasible. I think the key word is feasible, because from what I understand right now, the pathway to citizenship is quite hard. Let's give them a feasible way to citizenship. Should they want to become citizens of the U.S.? If they don't want to become citizens of the U.S., then yes, I'm all for, hey, if you don't want to become a citizen, if you don't want to, renounce your citizenship in Mexico, Peru, Canada, France, wherever, then, bro, I'm going to need you to go on back. But if you're here and if you were given an easier way to become a citizen and you still refuse to, well, then go ahead and take your ass on back. Okay.
Right. And I am all for making it more affordable and making it
right, because we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, right?
Stuff that these people have to go through just to become citizens, and the way that the system can buck them just for any reason they want.
Yeah, you can slip up once and you got to start all over again, right?
We made it so easy for individuals to come into this country from other countries. Who all would be coming? At what point would the United States be like Israel?
Well, and one thing I definitely want to point out, when I say easier, I mean financially easier. I'm not saying let's get rid of background checks. Let's get, yeah, you need to go through a thorough vetting process to be able, if you have a felony in another country, my bad, bro, but you're going to need to go back type of thing.
Right.
But to charge hundreds of thousands, and I believe it is in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, plus lawyer fees and all of that, to become a citizen of a country, I think is absolutely asinine and unacceptable behavior that we have established in this country. I mean, I feel proud that everybody wants to be a citizen of the U.S. I don't think we should be making it harder. I don't think we're the boys club where you have to pay well, I guess we technically do have to pay club fees. They're just called taxes, but it is what it is. We have a comment here. Sketchy Peasant says, what about people from other countries who come here on visas and then end up staying here after they expire? It's simple for me. Offer them a pathway to citizenship. If they don't want to become a citizen of the U.S., take your ass back home.
Either go back home or apply for another visa.
That's simple for me. As far as the visa process, work visas, I'm not so sure. But from what I understand, it's just as simple as you going into the company you work for and being like, yo, my work visa is expiring. I'm going to need you to go ahead and send out for another one. I think it's that simple of a process. I don't know. I've never been through that process. So, I mean, if it's any harder than that for a work visa where you're a temporary access, then I think that's ridiculous. Okay.
Well, before we go on to the next deal, I'm reading right here, and they're actually saying that Department of Homeland Security said that 2,342 children were separated from their parents between May 5th and June 9th.
You said 2,400 and how many?
2342.
2342, okay.
Under Trump. But DHS, Department of Human Services, Department of Homeland Security, could provide any statistics on how many children may have been separated from their parents under the Obama administration.
Which I think is bullshit.
Have been scrubbed.
I think that's bullshit. And, you know, to be fair, I guess you could make the argument that Trump made this light shine on him brighter by making his whole campaign about it. But, but you know, it's not exactly fair to say, hey, we have the numbers for Trump readily available, and not so much on previous administrations. I think that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I will say that.
This article does say that there were 2,000. Well, that's a big number. 2362,966.
Oh, shoot. That's
adults apprehended illegally crossing the southern border
I believe.
When Obama was president.
Whew. That's quite a few. That's quite a number. It's definitely quite a number there. Doug, you're fine. We appreciate you for coming on while you could. That's definitely quite a number. Like I said, I think with a lot of the immigration issues, Trump shone that light brighter on himself because he made that an issue.
Right.
With that being said, do I think it's exactly fair that the numbers under Obama, Bush, Clinton, what have you, have disappeared? No, because you know it doesn't allow us to have these conversations of it doesn't allow us to provide context. The funny thing is, if
those numbers were lower than Trump's, you know they would be supporting those.
I think they would. I would agree. I feel like they would if they were, you know, something that would exonerate the previous administrations. I absolutely agree. I think they would. Okay. So here we go. Trump snubbed in a vaccine PSA. This is the PSA for anybody that hasn't seen it with Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama urging Americans to get the COVID vaccine.
Our fellow Americans.
Right now, the COVID-19 vaccines are available to millions of Americans.
And soon, they will be available to everyone.
The science is clear. These vaccines will protect you and those you love from this dangerous and deadly disease.
They could save your life.
So we urge you to get vaccinated when it's available to you.
That's the first step to ending the pandemic and moving our country forward. It's up to you.
So I'm going to say in that little 53-second, and there may be an extended version that I haven't seen, and that little 53-second thing, I didn't see anything where they were just like, Trump, you're a bastard for what you've done. But
no. That wasn't the point of it. The point of it was they pulled all these ex-presidents in, but Trump didn't get an invite.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
That's how he was snubbed.
I see what you mean by snub now. Okay, with that being said, though, do you think Trump would have done a pro-vaccine PSA with these three gentlemen?
Probably not.
Right.
I mean, he didn't even go to the inauguration. You think that he's going to...
Right. I mean, these are three gentlemen that he's heavily criticized. Do I think it's a big deal? No. I think these three gentlemen were putting out a viewpoint that he probably wouldn't have agreed with. So, I mean, it's not a big deal to me.
The other thing that I'd seen on what little bit I did read of this was that when he received his vaccine shot, there wasn't photographers all around like the other presidents, ex-presidents.
That's actually kind of disappointing too, because it says something for these former presidents that we're seeing, and these mayors and these governors, but I'm still of the thought that it says something when you see your president do something. Right. If we would have been able to physically see Donald Trump take this shot, like we saw all these other important politicians take this shot, it would have definitely at least helped bridge the gap for his supporters. And they would have been like, well, Donald didn't grow an extra hand, so I guess we're okay. Sketchy Peasant said that was filmed at Biden's inauguration. Trump didn't show up to the inauguration. So that makes sense. They were in Washington, it looked like, whenever they filmed that.
Right. I didn't realize it was filmed there. Like I said, I didn't have a chance to look at a lot of that. Story.
You're fun. Definitely, like I said, I think it comes down to, number one, he wasn't there. And number two, I don't think he would have stood with them other three gentlemen and, said, hey, go get your vaccine. That's pretty simple as far as that goes to me. Where's Hunter? Hashtag not my pedo says, where's Hunter? Well, where's my pedo? I don't know where Hunter is. Why don't you give me some?
He's busy counting his money.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. He's busy counting his money. We're not even going to pretend to allow you to say that about the Vice President of the United States, because she is the Vice President, whether I agree with her or not. I'm not going to call her a derogatory name because I respect the office of the Vice Presidency. Okay, so here we go. These Myanmar, I believe how you say it, protests are continuing, and these go back to, I believe this is technically a follow-up to a story we did, I want to say at the end of November. I could be wrong on that, but I know we talked about it when they first popped off, and I remember you had quite a bit of information on it. But if I'm remembering correctly, the lady was the president. She was removed from office by the army, who said that they wouldn't remove her from office, and then they said, "Well, hey, we're just gonna keep control of this for the next year."
You're saying November, man. This was like a few weeks ago.
Was this only a few weeks ago that we talked about this?
Yeah, I'm looking for it.
Okay, maybe it was only a few weeks ago. I felt like it was it's been going on for a while though. Like, I may be able to give you the end of December, but I could have swore it was not that long ago. Hashtag not my pedo. Fraudulent elections are illegitimate. I'm going to tell you this exact same thing as what I tell everybody else that brings that in here. Bring me some facts. Show me where it's illegitimate. Bring some actual legitimate hard evidence, and we'll consider your opinion. And the guy on the right here voted for Donald, so and he's even like, please give me some hard evidence.
Let me see. Myanmar military coup was our last topic. At the same time we were talking about the polar vortex.
Oh, man.
Black History Month, so that was February.
Wow.
February.
It feels like it's been going on for longer, at least. I guess I was wrong. It's not been going on as long as what I thought, but we do have a story from Reuters on the 12 dead protesters.
Families and friends grieved on Saturday over 2 men killed in an overnight raid in Myanmar's largest city, Yangon. The 2 who died in police firing were among at least 12 people killed in Myanmar by security forces, witnesses and media reported. Witnesses told Reuters that 5 people were shot dead and several injured when police opened fire on a sit-in protest in Mandalay, Myanmar's second biggest city. Than Saw is the mother of one of those who died in Yangon, trishaw peddler Si Thu.
I told my son that we have nothing and we will die if we go against them. I would go and shoot back at them if I had a gun. Now we can't do anything as we don't have guns. Tell me, do we always have to keep silent and die? Why are we dying for doing the right thing?
The deaths came as the leaders of the United States, India, Australia, and Japan vowed to work together to restore democracy in the Southeast Asian nation. More than 70 people have been killed in Myanmar in widespread protests against a February 1st coup by the military. That's according to the Assistance Association for Political Prisoners Advocacy Group. Mon Wing Kang Tan, who was appointed acting vice president by representatives of Myanmar's ousted lawmakers, addressed the public for the first time on Saturday from hiding via Facebook, vowing to pursue a revolution to overturn the junta and adding that, quote, "This is the darkest moment of the nation and the moment that the dawn is close."
Okay, so I know your feeling on this. Excuse me, sorry, wrong headline. I know your feeling on this, but watching that.
So the white man knows what the Mexican says. Okay.
I know what you're going to say about what I'm going to say, because we've had this talk before. Watching that, it's very hard for me not to get to a point where I'm like, man, we need to go fuck them up. And I know that that is not a popular opinion amongst a lot of people, because we would be playing world police. But how can we let that shit go on, man?
They are going through their civil war. They've got to do it. It's got to be on them.
It's messed up. They're killing their own people, bro. Like,
we had our civil war where we killed our own people.
That's true. That's true. It's really tough for me, especially knowing, we kind of did set a precedent with Desert Storm, where Saddam, invaded Kuwait and used the mustard gas, and we were like, you know what, fuck y'all, we're coming to get your ass out of there.
I mean, I have a feeling that the U.S. is going to step in anyways. I don't agree that they should.
I don't know that necessarily Biden will step in this case. I believe Biden's going to sanction the absolute hell out of them. But let's be honest, what is the sanction? It's a piece of paper. It's worth as much as it's written on. But
after using arms and stuff like that to give to one side or the other in the Middle East, I don't think that we will do that again.
Yeah, that worked so well for us when we gave the Taliban arms against the freaking USSR.
So I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think that'll happen.
Yeah, I think our military spread too thin right now for us to try to send some people over there to help the.
But yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't see us sending troops in to try to, separate the two sides.
As long as the bastard doesn't make a threat against us, I don't think he has to worry about us sticking our nose in there. Now, does he have to worry about us sanctioning them? Probably, because these are human rights violations for sure, and not only us, but the UN will probably sanction the hell out of them. Yeah. But I don't think we're gonna get involved. No. Do I think we should just drop one fucking bomb and take care of it? Yeah, but hey, it's what it is.
Yeah, but dropping one bomb and taking care of it is basically going to do a lot of the damage that you're seeing there already.
It's very true. A lot of civilian casualties for sure.
Yes,
get that.
You can't look at it with teary eyes and want to go help.
Yeah.
Every time somebody comes to this point.
Can't be a bleeding heart and a mix of a bleeding heart and a hawk at the same time in this case. You gotta You got to look at it realistically, and realistically, we probably just need to stay the hell out of it, honestly. Unless they have an issue with us. When they have an issue with us, yeah, let's go mess them up. But okay, so I'm going to need you to explain this one to me. So the company that we're referring to is and I'm probably going to butcher this. I think it's Hawaii. Is how you say it. It's I know they manufacture cell phones. I'm not sure what else they manufacture. But how did a cell phone manufacturer land itself as a security threat? I see something about exposing trade secrets or something.
Well, exposing trade secrets. They're connected with China. And China has these kill switches and these turn-on switches and all this stuff that they are.
So it goes back to that.
Yes. So if you have this specific brand of cell phone, Chinese counterintelligence can turn it on so that they're listening to the microphone part of you talking.
Oh,
so if they can, and I'm sure they've got satellites that can track where these phones are at. If they know one is in the Oval Office at the White House, they can turn it on and hear what our president is saying.
So that's actually interesting, too, because this is a carryover from the Trump administration in his sanctions. This is something that apparently Biden has looked into. From what I'm reading here on this MSN article that you had sent, the CEO and founder, Ren Zhengfei, I guess, called for a reset under Biden after he was battered by the Trump administration. And I guess Biden has said, no, buddy, this is a problem, which kind of surprises me a little bit. You saw Biden say that, China was quite mismanaged by Trump as far as he was too tough on China.
Right.
This is something where, this is a pretty tough action from the president to continue this. But I believe, based upon what we know about the kill switches and what we've talked about before, I can't say that I disagree with this and moving this forward.
Right. I'm sorry. I was trying to look up what all they do manufacture, because I had come across one of their deals that showed what all they manufactured.
Well, I know for sure they manufacture cell phones because I've seen their cell phones before. I haven't seen one of their cell phones in quite a while, and that may speak to, what President Trump did in his time in office. But I don't think I've ever heard of them manufacturing televisions. Obviously, they're not in the video game market. They might. They're the largest. Okay, founded by Ren in 1987, Hawaii largely flew under the global radar for decades as it became the world's largest maker of telecom equipment and a top mobile phone producer. So it sounds like everything they do is tied to telephones.
All right. The companies include, and I believe they said there was 5. The companies include Chinese telecommunications giant Huawei, along with ZTE, Hydra Communications, Hongzhou something, Digital Technology, and Duhua Technology.
Now, I definitely know 2 of them. I know ZTE and I know Hawaii. Both of them are they produce fairly cheap cell phones.
Right.
Certainly, though, I think I actually have owned a ZTE cell phone before. I could be wrong on that, but I believe I have. So
right.
That's interesting. I wonder how many Chinese people got to hear my weird conversations.
But they're also eyeballing the whole 5G stuff, saying that they believe that was originally pushed because the Chinese were trying to infiltrate our high points.
Communications?
Yes.
Huh. That's interesting. Because I have noticed that 5G's kind of cooled off a little bit.
Yeah, you don't see a whole lot about it anymore.
No, you really don't. I mean, that's certainly something interesting, though. If it is proven that that's something, well, you say it every day. I think we talked about it before here too, but you see it every day where every day it's a punch counter punch with these spies and what they're trying to do. So I mean, is it surprising? Probably not. Why they would want to put them in cell phones, though, that's kind of surprising to me, unless the cell phone provider had a government contract. All you're going to hear is just normal, everyday Americans talking. You're not getting any government secrets from it.
Right. Well, I mean, that's going to depend, who's in the Pentagon that might have one of these devices.
Good point. Good point.
Mean, with the sheer number of people, the chances of one of those devices getting into an area where sensitive material could be talked about, it is real. One of the shows that Erica, my wife Erica, and I watch is blank on it. Not SWAT team, it's SEAL team.
SEAL team? Okay.
And we see them going to other countries, and she actually asked me, do you think that other countries do the same thing with us? And I told her, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Counterintelligence is a big deal.
Every day. I mean, you could walk by somebody and not even realize it, honestly.
Right.
That's their job.
Do I think there's a bunch of it here in Arkansas? No.
The hell you gonna, unless it's around Nuke One, the hell you gonna find out here in Arkansas how Sam Walton built his business?
But definitely in Washington.
Oh, absolutely. Washington, I would say New York, and I may even stretch as far as LA.
I don't know that there's a lot in LA to see anymore.
True. Good point.
The closest to LA you'd probably get is like Area 51. It wouldn't surprise me if there aren't people around Arizona.
It's a good point. It's a good one. I think the majority of them, though, would be, confined to that New York City with the trade and Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Especially, Pentagon, FBI, CIA, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Anytime you see that, that's what their job is.
It wouldn't surprise me with Florida and Texas, too, with the NASA centers.
Ooh, good point. Good point on those. Good point. Okay. Here we go. American Idiot of the Week time. A little bit shorter of a show tonight, but my American Idiot of the Week is going to be the representative from Texas who decided he wanted to circumvent federal regulation and the president and say, hey, the state gets to decide if we get to put a border wall on this land.
Your will, man. That's your opinion. That's cool. You got your opinion. I think, and I know now I'm going back to the story. We didn't really get to touch on what I'm about to bring up, but okay. Homeland Security looked at what's going on, and apparently they decided that it's better with the wall than without.
That's interesting.
That's honestly my thought, because you had a lot of the border agents that Trump would talk to, and he would bring in, and they would talk on camera about how much safer it is with the border wall going up.
But wouldn't you say that, though, if it makes your job easier? Wouldn't you be all for it and say all the things you needed to say to make it look great? Because, I mean, let's be honest, it is making these border security agents' job a hell of a lot easier.
True. It is.
But my thing is this. So when I say federal land, I look at the border, the southern border, a lot like I look at military installations. The state government really has no regulation on a military installation because it's federal land. I believe the border is treated the same way. Now, I could be wrong on that. Could be absolutely wrong on that, but that's the way I look at that.
And I think the big question is, at what point does it stop being state ran, and what point does it start being federally ran?
It's a good point. It's a good point.
So there's no telling. I mean, they could still, put it to the state border
True.
Not so much the federal border.
That would be a hell of a troll job for sure.
Right. So I guess you want my American Idiot of the Week.
Oh, yes, sir.
My American Idiot of the Week is Matt Rowan.
Okay.
Need clarification on that?
Yeah, I'm going to need clarification.
I'm sure most of our viewers may need clarification on that. You see, Matt Rowan, former youth pastor, was an Oklahoma announcer that was calling a girls' basketball game.
Oh, yeah.
And while he thought his mic was off, proceeded to call the girls the N-word.
Ooh.
Because they were taking a knee as the Star Spangled Banner was playing. Ooh. And then, if that wasn't bad enough, he blamed it on his diabetes.
Now, I did not hear that. Are you serious?
Yes, he says when his blood sugar gets out of whack like that, he says hurtful things. The funniest part of this whole thing is that a doctor came on and said diabetes does have a lot of symptoms and things that go wrong, but racism is not one of them.
Oh, I love that doctor for saying that specifically. Oh, I love that doctor. By the way,
American Idiot of the Week, Matt Rowan, who for no reason decided to call a group of young girls playing basketball game the N-word.
By the way, bonus American Idiot of the Week before we get out of here goes to the teacher. I believe it was in Little Rock, in one of the school districts here in Little Rock, that made a 5-year-old black child clean feces out of the toilet with their bare hands. When asked,
I missed that.
I didn't hear about that.
No.
Yes, when asked why she did it, she proceeded to tell them, "I don't know."
Wow.
Bonus American Idiot of the Week. I'll send you. I'll have to look it up, but I'll send you.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, she actually is a local business owner here in North Little Rock. She owns a pizza joint. I'm not sure the details.
Maybe not anymore.
I'm
pretty sure they'll be going out of business.
Trust me, within I want to say a couple hours of the story breaking, Facebook had the details on her restaurant pretty clearly posted and told people nicely to go see her.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I can only imagine how clean the facade of her building was after that. I mean, me personally, my first thought is go and take a bunch of crap and throw it at a building.
Could you imagine what you would do if your child came home and was like, "Dad, I had to clean feces out of the toilet," and supposedly the kid clogged the toilet up or something, and that's why she made him do it. But could you imagine what murder would go through my mind?
See, and that's another thing there. I mean, was the child intentionally throwing stuff in the toilet to clog it up?
I don't know. From what I understand, apparently he just took a really big crap. I mean, I don't know too many 5-year-olds that can take a really big crap and clog the toilet up, but yeah.
Even though I've got a 4-year-old that, geez, sometimes I've gone in, I'm like, what the heck is he eating? Little Angelica, she can put some logs in that pot, man.
Oh man, you look at her and then you're like, wait, hold on.
Yes,
as big as you.
Definitely. It's never clogged the toilet though, but yeah, it's been some massive.
I mean, to have this kid though, no gloves, nothing.
Yeah, that.
Even hand the kid a plunger and teach him how to plunge a toilet. No, ew, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Ew.
Yeah. I mean, if he was throwing blocks down there and handfuls of toilet paper to intentionally clog it up, I could see you trying to teach him a lesson somehow. Maybe not barehanded.
Absolutely agree with Sketchy Pleasant. It doesn't matter. The child doesn't need to use their hands. This is on the adult. And absolutely. I think she was fired. I would hope she was fired. But yeah, when I read that she said, I don't know, when asked why she did it.
See, and the reason I'm saying the things I'm saying is because one of our older girls, we had explained to her that after you cook meat, when you dump the grease down the sink, you need to run hot water down the sink to make sure that it doesn't solidify. Because that grease, once it starts cooling down, it solidifies into fat.
She is a teacher at Crystal Hill Elementary School. Let me see if I can find her name here. Okay, an elementary school teacher in North Little Rock has been accused of having a kindergarten student pull toilet paper out of a clogged toilet with feces in it with his hands. What is her name? Tammy. Oh no, Tammy Murray is the grandmother. It doesn't say her name in this article, but I will send you this article. Yeah.
Which makes me think that it seems like at least the teacher thought the child may have been putting the toilet paper in there on purpose. But again, like you said, it's you don't send them in there with their bare hands and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's just that poor kid.
Think of a different way to get that punishment across. But yeah, I had my daughter disconnect the P-trap under the kitchen sink because she clogged the kitchen sink with grease.
Hold on. The Manic Hispanic, don't dump grease down the sink. Put the grease, I guess, in an empty soda can or container you will throw out. That's what I do with mine. I put it in mason jars. But yeah,
I dump it down every time I make tacos.
As long as you run hot water, I don't think it actually hurts the drain because it won't congeal.
I'm pretty sure he's talking about the water purifiers and stuff like that once it gets to the
right, absolutely. Okay, well, we ran through these topics pretty quick. We got an hour and a half out of it, but with that being said, you got anything else for us, Manny?
No, sir. Hopefully my schedule slows down a little this week and I can pay more attention to our stories.
Hey, you did a great job. You stuck in there pretty good for what we had. I mean, a lot of what we had wasn't really new. It was more, updates to previous stuff.
Right.
There were a couple things that were new, but, we did what we did. But
a couple of things I've got written down for next week. Biden's first federal tax increase in 30 years.
Which I think coincides with the $1.3 trillion shift.
And the Republicans saying that Biden's border policies are causing smuggling of people.
Ooh, that'll be a good one. Which
goes back to that wreck that happened in California with 20-something people in one vehicle?
Yeah.
14 died or 12 died, something like that.
Well, and I think, not to get too far into this, but I think that if we do, offer that easier pathway to citizenship, we may see a decrease in the shit like that, man. Because people really are the desperate people in this world will, that really want to be in this country, they will find a way in. And, sometimes it's not pleasant. Want to say goodnight to Sketchy Peasant. Thank you for joining us and hanging in there with us. And we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, for the Manic Hispanic, I am Money Mike. Manny Hispanic, real quick, plug your ointment for us.
I'm glad you said that. Yes. Honeybees. CBD oils. You can find a link on our American Idiots Facebook page. It works. I really use it. I'm refereeing basketball games. Honestly, I get more sore from running up and down the court refereeing basketball games than I do when I wrestle.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I guess, yeah, because you're not running the whole time you're wrestling, and wrestling's usually confined to between an 8 and 20-minute match. So
yeah,
I guess that makes a little bit of sense. But yeah, terrible on the knees for sure.
It is, especially running backwards.
Sketchy Peasant wants us to make a promise that we'll take at least $100 from our $1,400 to stimulate the local economy at the strip club.
I've got a wife. I can't do that.
I was about to say, I've got a girlfriend. I don't think she would appreciate that, but you know, who knows? But we will definitely be thinking of you at least when we spend our $1,400 stimulus. Anyway, for the Manic Hispanic, I'm Money Mike, and we will see you guys next week.
That I welcome this kind of examination because people have got to know whether or not their president is a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.